In my unboxing video, I told you that I won the POCO M3 from POCO in cooperation with ASBYT, which is awesome. Still love it. Thanks very much. I'm here to give you my initial review of using POCO M3 as my full phone for a little over a week. I hope you like it, and here we go. If we first go to the build and design of the phone, it's very clear to see that this is not your typical entry-level phone. Yes, the back is made of plastic, but it has a look as if it was a leather. If you look very closely, if someone were to just look at the phone, they would think it was leather. If you touch it, you can feel that it's not leather and that it's a sort of plastic, but it doesn't look like it, and that is what gives it that premium look. And besides the plastic leatherish back, of course you have the camera setup, and that's all glass with the POCO branding there full inside. Of course, it didn't really need to be that obvious, but I can also understand it as a new brand that you want your brand name to be seen. So yeah, I'll give them that one. The phone is just under 200 grams, so it is pretty hefty to hold in your hand. Also because of the screen size, which I'll come back to in a little bit. But also, of course, due to the 6000 mAh battery that's inside, which makes it actually holdable. Is that a word, holdable? Anyways, so it is decent to hold in your hand, but it is pretty heavy. It has a USB-C charger, Bluetooth 5.0, there is no NFC, and there is a headphone jack. The USB-C charger goes up to 18 watts. With the standard 5-watt charger, it will take around 3 hours to go from 0 to full. But if you swap it up to an 18-watt brick, you will get around 2 hours, a little over 2 to 2.5 hours of full charge. I love the fact that there's a headphone jack, because for me it's always about audio, adding audio to video. Although I have to say this phone can only record up to 1080p. But of course it is an entry-level phone, so it's not a big deal. It has a headphone jack, so you can listen to audio with it. It does not have NFC, which I don't really care because I don't use wireless payments, but I know that a lot of people are switching to that, so I'm sorry, it doesn't have that. And Bluetooth 5.0, it's not 5.1 or faster, but it does the trick. I've connected it to some speakers, some wireless speakers, and it was basically no problem. Of course, if you do leave the room, you will lose the connection. But if you are in the same room, you will not have any problems with either playback and synchronicity of the sound, or for example casting won't be an issue. Alright, so if we're then talking about screen and sound, first we'll start with the screen. We're talking about a 6.53 IPS LCD screen, 1080p up to 400 nits, with an aspect ratio of 19.5 by 9. So the screen is fine for what it is, for the price. And of course you can watch some great content. It's great for some Cobra Kai ass whooping or some laid back movie watching. The screen brightness is pretty good, but it is pretty harsh in regulating it. So sometimes I had to crank it up manually or crank it down manually, because otherwise it would be too bright or too dim for me to really get a good look. Not always, but sometimes. As for the dual speakers, they're also alright, but not amazing. They tend to screech a little bit in the high notes. I just used some stereo Bluetooth speakers, which did the trick great. Games play pretty nice, and the phone does not heat up very much. That's probably due to the 600 mAh battery in combination with the Snapdragon 662, which is a mid-range chip. And since we're talking about an entry-level phone, it's somewhere between an entry-level and a mid-range chip, I have to be honest, because usually the mid-range are somewhere around the 700. But it is pretty good. The screen is also pretty big, which makes it very nice for me, because I usually edit all my videos that you see right now on my phones. So it depends on which phone I use, which phone I edit on, and if it's possible. Some phones it's not possible. That's due to the app or the system that's on there. So I'll get back to that in upcoming videos. But on this phone it went great. Sometimes it was a little bit slower, of course, but then again, mid-range entry-level chip. And last thing I want to say about the screen is the security. In the unboxing I said it gave me two options to unlock the phone, which were a pattern, password, or a fingerprint. And also when you go into the security settings, you can add face unlock. And I do have to say it is pretty reliable. In the dark, a little bit less, but of course it's not a great sensor in there, but it does work. Although the fingerprint reader is much more reliable. It's a bit slower than most, so it takes like a half a second before it opens the phone, but it is reliable and it will open your phone every day. Every time. Every day. Alright, so if we're then moving on to software and battery, let's talk about that Android 10 on MIUI 12. Personally, I am not that much fan of the brand UI that are on different phones. I like actually stock Android. But I do have to say, I kept this on there just to see how it would feel, and I didn't actually mind. Things I like about MIUI 12 are there are a few extra options that are hidden in the menus that are actually pretty good. And I actually love the things that you can do when watching video or playing games. You can activate a video manager that will let you either close the screen when you're watching, for example, a YouTube video, turn off the screen but still hear the audio, things that you would have to get premium YouTube for, I think, normally, but now you can do that. And also when playing games, you can activate the game booster, and then it will, for example, select which notifications you'll receive or how you will receive them, what connectivity will still be active and what not. There are a lot of different things that you can try in the games menu with these settings. And those are a few things that I really like. One thing I don't really like about MIUI is for example, those settings are actually hidden in the menu, which is pretty, let's just say there are a lot of options in the menu and you really have to go through them all to find out what's inside that menu and what's inside that menu. Also, it is a entry-level to mid-range chip. It has a 6000 mAh battery, like I said, MIUI 12 on Android 10. But I do have to say it's pretty slow in opening apps and switching between apps. So if you want a phone and you will be multitasking a lot, you will be switching between different apps a lot, don't get this phone. Because this is an entry-level phone. It will handle one app and it will handle that great. But if you want to switch between apps, you're gonna have to be prepared to wait a little. Because it might take some time depending on the app you are using. And it doesn't matter if you were just using it just before that. If you want to reopen, for example, Instagram after having opened it a few apps before, it will have to keep on loading straight away. It won't go back to where you were. It is an entry-level phone, so don't expect that sort of flagship qualities. You can store a lot on this phone though. You have 4 GB of RAM and either 64 or 128 GB of storage. And you can get the 64 GB variant for €150 and the 128 for 170 with 4 GB of RAM for an entry-level phone that is basically amazing in my eyes. I even forgot to mention it also have an infrared port, which I don't really use, but it is very handy for people who like to use their phone as a remote as well. And it has a possibility for an FM radio. But last but not least, I do have to mention this one amazing thing before I have to note one thing that is a little bit less interesting for me of the phone. One amazing phone is that battery. I mean, I am not kidding you. I charged it on January 9th. Around 12 o'clock it was full, and I had to charge it because it was at 2% again on January 15th at 1 o'clock. I am not kidding you. I used some social media, I used the camera pretty much. I didn't do some editing, I did some light gaming, but it lasted me from the 9th till the 15th. I am not kidding you. And now today it is the 18th. Yes, so today is the 18th. On the 15th around 1 o'clock I had to charge it again, so it was full around 4 o'clock. Yeah. And right now on the 18th it was empty again. So that's also 3 days. And in those days I did some more video, I did some more gaming, and I did editing of 2 full videos on that phone. So that is why it didn't last me like 5 days, but still 3 days is amazing. Alright, so now for a thing I didn't really like about the connection and everything is since like 2 years, I always wear a smartwatch. I've worn from Xiaomi, I've worn from Honor. Right now I have Huawei GT2. I have also the GT2 Pro, which I tried out. I'm going to make a review about that later. But both the GT2 Pro and the GT Pro, both the GT2 Pro and the GT2 do connect. They show when someone is calling, but any messages I'm getting on my phone do not come on my watch. I have the Huawei Health app, have everything connected. It doesn't show on my smartwatch. So that's the thing I miss. Alright, so the next point we're going to come to is camera. And well, here you sort of have to bear with me because it is a budget phone or an entry-level phone. So you cannot expect this camera to be amazing. So what I say with that in mind. Okay, this phone has a 48 megapixel main camera, but that actually shoots in around 12 megapixel and then combines it to a photo, and then you can also use the really 48 megapixel camera, which in my opinion doesn't really make that much of a difference. But the shots from the main camera are actually pretty good. And okay, I'm not very much a fan of depth sensor and telephoto sensors, although for some reason I thought I would like an ultra wide better, but I actually like a telephoto, I think, better than ultra wide, because I like to make photos of things close up. To make a picture with a normal camera close by, but when I move even closer for the telephoto shot, it doesn't show me that much extra. So I would have rather seen just a great main camera for that. When I took a selfie, the portrait mode was actually pretty good, and you could really see the blurred background where it was supposed to. A little bit rough around the edges, but hey, what's to expect? It is an entry-level phone. Video both on the front and back cam shoot up to 1080p and 30 fps, though there is no image stabilization whatsoever. So if you want to make a nice shot, just keep it on a tripod, because even when you're holding it in your hand and just moving it really slowly like this, it will wobble. And you don't want that. So the video it shoots is alright. It does have a problem though when switching from light to dark. So when you take a video or a photo against the light, you really have to refocus yourself. With the camera, if you move around, it will really change from night to day, sort of, when it gets the light behind the camera instead of in front of the camera. And also with a photo, I took a few shots. In my camera test video, of course, you can see all of that. But that if I really tap the screen on a dark spot, all of a sudden the photo was much brighter and much better. So I was kind of bummed out that I had to do that manually to get a better photo. Alright, so the POCO M3, in conclusion, it is just an amazing value phone. It has fantastic and for me literally unprecedented battery life. And the camera is alright, not great, but if you want a great camera phone, you won't be looking at a phone for about 150 or 170 euros, would you? And the screen is big but bright, and it's bright enough, although the automatic brightness can be a bit harsh, but you will be able to see everything clearly. So yeah, this is an amazing phone for 150 or 170 euros. It really is. Okay, so who is it for? Well, I'll tell you who's it for. This is for someone who wants a phone with a great battery life. Someone who wants a good screen that's enough for some little content, playing a little game here and there, checking their email, and a phone that won't break the bank. And I do have to say, I love this trend, because entry-level phones are really getting much better and better almost each month. So I'm very curious to see what this year will bring, what these months will bring. Probably by the end of the year, we'll have an entry-level phone of around 70, 80 euros. That will be actually pretty decent. That would be awesome though. If that happens, I told you first. So I'm curious to see what they will do. And I really hope you liked this video. If you did, a sub to the channel would be awesome. Like the video, leave a comment, and I really hope to see you in the next one. Stay safe and see you soon. Bye.